You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AfterBuzz TV's Hell's Kitchen After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Hell's Kitchen After Show.
Wow. You know it. The number one Hell's Kitchen After Show right here on AfterBuzz TV. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Leo Quinones. I'm your host, and I'm very excited because Gordon gets me going. Get out! Those are the words that we live for. All over the world, thank you for downloading us on iTunes and being a part of the show, YouTube, watching the show. Thanks for the comments. Let's get into this. Hell's Kitchen, Season 12, 11 chefs compete. Now, I could do this, and I can make up a lot of things, and I can, just go to the internet and blog this out, but screw that. Going right to the source. I want to talk to someone who's actually been there, in the grizzle of Gordon.
That was a lie, Leo. I haven't actually been there.
Well, producer Steve, I'm so glad that you're here as well, because it's important that you're here. But riding shotgun this time is a lovely young lady from Hell's Kitchen Season 11. And you'll notice she is adorned in her black finalist jacket. Please welcome to the Hell's Kitchen After Show, Susan Heaton. Yes.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, Susan, thank you so much for being on the Hell's Kitchen After Show.
So glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
What's the word on our show between the Hell's Kitchen alumni?
It's the place to be. Everyone's kind of fighting for a spot to come out here and talk to you on the phone, or luckily enough, I get to be here in person. So yeah, it's the place to be for HK alum and this current season.
How do we find you on Twitter real quick? It's Susan HK11, correct?
Correct.
Susan HK11. Well, let's get into the 11 chefs competing. And let's pick it up from your last phone call. Your last phone call, you were on the after show giving us your predictions. And can you paraphrase or kind of remember what you said that day?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Bummer.
Own it up.
Well, I, at the time, really felt that, two specific women were strong, one of them being Bev, and unfortunately, she actually went home last week. So unfortunately, Bev's gone, but Melanie's still there, and I still feel very strongly, not to get into future predictions, but I still feel very, very strongly about that prediction, and I stand behind it.
All right. It started so intense. Okay, we had a cliffhanger.
Yes.
So they stopped the show. It's a 2-hour episode, essentially. And it picked up with someone's going home. 3-course meal cooked by Richard, 3-course meal cooked by Jessica. What goes through your mind when you see Jessica up there standing so vulnerable?
My heart goes out to her because, having been in her shoes literally, several times, I know how hard it is, but you got to have some sort of composure, and I feel like she lost that pretty early on. She was just kind of a wreck, It's hard to watch.
I was watching it with you. It made me feel quite uneasy.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's exactly what the producers were trying to put out there, and, the close-ups were so intense. I think this is the first time in the history of Hell's Kitchen where a contestant just begged.
Yeah.
Groveled and said, give me one more chance, put me back in line. And then the give and take between her and Gordon was really kind of, I guess it was kind of special,
Yeah, I have to completely agree with you, because what we normally see, of Chef Ramsay is, he makes his decision and that's it, and get out. And get out.
Yeah.
And he was really actually giving her some dignity, I feel like, by allowing her to kind of to do that, to have that moment. And, I think a lot of people watch it on TV and they think it's a show, but for us chefs, it's our life. It's everything that we want. I mean, you've dreamed about it. You live, eat, breathe this opportunity, and you don't think about losing. So it's really just it's gritty, it's raw, and I mean, you saw it there on her face, and it was nice that he gave her the opportunity to kind of let it out.
It was actually elongated, the give and take. He said, "Well, look, I think the meat was overcooked, or the fish was overcooked, and the meat was raw. The lobster was raw, or something like that.
The lobster was raw.
The lobster was raw," and he was just trying to tell her. But then, instead of beating her down, before the guillotine dropped on her, he actually started bumping her up a little bit.
Yeah.
You've got the passion, keep it going. Chef Jersey Jess, if you're watching, I know you stiffed us. You were a scheduled guest and you were, kind of emotional, but you're welcome on the Hell's Kitchen show anytime to vent and say what you have to say. So, Chef Jersey Jess, we'll see you next time. Now, another intense episode of Hell's Kitchen. Let me ask you.
Yes.
When you filmed Hell's Kitchen, how long did you have to wait for them to edit it and get it ready to put on air? From the time you finished to the time it went on the air?
It was about a year. Almost 1 year that we waited. Everything was filmed, and they don't do any editing until the entire production's done and over with. And so all of the editing and everything was almost a year. It was like 8-9 months.
Is that torturous?
It's extremely torturous.
Because you can't give anything away.
No, nothing at all. And it actually, it's kind of weird. It almost like, I don't have any children, but I'm going to liken it to like when people have children, they forget about like the pain they went through and they have another kid. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like that. Like you forgot about all the pain. And so right before the show airs, you're like, you remember all the good things.
Right.
This is so much fun, all the good times, the rewards. And then you watch it and you're like, holy, why did I do that?
Well, Susan just confessed to me that you just picked up the Uncensored, the Raw season 11, and you've yet to consume it. It's so different. It's 2 different shows. I have 1 through 10 Hell's Kitchen Uncensored, and there's no commercial breaks.
Love it.
When there's no cliffhangers. It just marches right through. So I think you're going to be surprised about that. Okay, so
yeah.
All right. So again, Joy in the confessional. She was saying things. She doesn't mince her words very well.
No.
She's kind of like point A to point B. She's like, you know what? I don't care.
I don't care.
Sorry, Jess. Hell's Kitchen, it is what it is. I think that's the quote that I had. Is Joy speaking to you as a competitor?
I think that she's in the right headspace, because it's a competition. And as much as you have to occupy the space for those couple weeks that you're there with the competitors, and you have to have some sort of normalcy and kind of at least some respect. At the end of the day, when you go home, you don't go home to them.
Right.
You go home to your life.
Right.
So you got to have that, competitor, fiery spirit about you.
So the night before service, Ralph was being kept up by Chef Gabriel.
Yeah.
2 alumni of our Hell's Kitchen After Show. Very proud of that. I mean, you guys are amazing. So it shows Ralph just hating the snoring of Gabriel. And we, 4:05 a.m. and all. And then, flatulence, farting. Yeah. Take me back to the dorms, Susan Heaton, and tell me a story about maybe trying to get some sleep or trying to coexist, because you lived for a month on the island. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
A month, no phone calls, like a jury, sequestered away.
Completely. I have to say, there was tons of pros and cons. The pros were they did my laundry for me, so that was great. Mm-hmm. Cons, obviously, no access to any friends, family, television, internet, social media, nothing. You're completely isolated.
There's someone's job to make sure you don't sneak online.
Absolutely. There's not even access to that. I mean, even like light switches and normal things like grocery shopping. I mean, that's it. You don't have access to that.
Light switches?
Oh yeah.
What do you mean?
You can't go and flip a switch because you want to get up in the middle of the night. It's like, here's when you go to sleep and here's when you wake up.
Wait a minute. So you can't get up and grab a midnight snack?
I mean, if you have to get your night vision, kind of in tune.
Because Chef Gabriel goes, I got to get up and get a honey bun, in the middle of the night of this episode. So that's weird to me. It seems very controlling in Hell's Kitchen. Is that
Yeah, very controlling. But they have to. They have to be able to control the entire, everything.
Who makes noise in the middle of the night?
Nedra. Oh, I love you, Nedra. I love Nedra. She's watching for sure because she loves me. She's my biggest fan. But yeah.
Okay, now we've talked about this. We had Melanie Finch right there. She gets up in the morning, another shot of her kind of like, whoosh. They did that to you too.
Yeah.
That has to make you feel extremely vulnerable.
Totally.
Because you forget the cameras are there, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, and so you're just trying to live your daily life, and you get dressed and you have to always be like on the lookout. Sometimes you forget that there's a camera and they catch a shot of you in your bra or your bikini or whatever, and it just sometimes it's not always flattering, but
right.
Even so it's kind of invasive.
Kind of. Let me confirm. It's invasive and it's Hell's Kitchen. All right. So everyone gets up in the morning and they don't know what's in store for them. They get in those, you've been in those Hell's Kitchen SUVs, right?
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, cruising around Los Angeles. So they go to the Grove in Los Angeles and take it from there. What do you remember seeing in that app?
I love the Grove, obviously being local, so it's great. They're at the Grove. They're getting an opportunity to actually be off of the Hell's Kitchen, campus, which is great. Mm-hmm. And they're in a restaurant, and they're actually going to see what, this is, what it's like at this restaurant, one of Gordon's restaurants, and Gastropub.
Are you told not to interact with people? Because these people are on the outside world. Yeah. They have watches at work, and they know who won the ball game and all that. Yeah. Are you refrained from talking to people?
Totally, yeah.
Wow.
It's very, you're escorted in and out. So as you can see, there was no one else in the restaurant there with them. So they were just there, again, isolated.
Wow. And then, okay, Gordon gave him some inspiration. Then there was a deliberation back at Hell's Kitchen. Yeah. And every single girl on the red team it seems like every girl is smoking, except for maybe Rochelle. And, I can't say who, but I will say they're encouraged to smoke cigarettes. Did you find that at all?
You know what? Fortunately, I never experienced that, but I also feel very fortunate that I don't know that any of the girls on my cast on my season smoked. I think maybe one, mm-hmm. but for the most part we were non-smokers, so maybe that contributed to it. I think I could understand that maybe if that's where majority of like the communication and discussion is happening. Yeah. If someone is not smoking and doesn't want to be around it, mm-hmm. maybe they're kind of pushed to do that so that they can be involved in what's going on.
Is that an uncomfortable place sometimes, that patio?
Oh yeah.
What are some memories that stick out in your mind of being on that patio that might really not be comfortable? It's like, I guess I better, I know I'm trying to stir up a memory.
Yeah, it wasn't aired, but there was a memory. We have to have our microphones on all the time except for when you're in the water. So people were in the jacuzzi and
people
and
there's booze.
Yeah, every once in a while there's a little wine, beer involved. But one of the gentlemen on my season just really liked to share, a lot about his personal life. And, he just liked to share stories. And so I just have this memory of being in the jacuzzi and having to kind of like wanting to relax and enjoy myself, but kind of having to be involved in this conversation and not really wanting to be involved. So,
right.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? You're only going to hear that right here. Exclusive, Susan Heaton. All right. So with that said, we have to talk about Chasing Maria Menounos. I'm telling you, the Oxygen channel is blowing up because the season finale of Chasing Maria Menounos, and I've been watching every single episode. She's trying to have a kid with Kevin Undergaro. Kevin has to have some kind of an operation. They down there.
Oh.
Yeah, so the season finale is going to be Tuesday, 10:30, 9:30 Central on Oxygen, and it's a must watch. And if you want to get in on the conversation on Twitter, it's hashtag Chasing Maria. So thank you. I mean, Kevin and Maria, this is their AfterBuzz baby. So, we really, appreciate it. So thanks, Kevin, and thank you, Maria. And good luck with the snap. I know. It's like everyone's medical stuff is part of a reality show now. You're crazy. Part of a reality show now.
Know.
How's your fanship? It's probably pretty big and global.
It's awesome. I've been, different places, random places over the Christmas holiday. I was up in Big Bear and walking through an Albertsons, and someone that was there stopped me and then found me on Facebook. And I love interacting with anyone that loves Hell's Kitchen. That's why I'm a huge fan of you. We get get to have this talk. And
Stop it. Knock it off.
it's great. It's great. I love it. I love every minute of it.
All right, I'm going to give a quick plug to Susan Heaton, AuthenticChef.com. She's jet set. She will fly anywhere, 5 to 500 people. You know what? If money's no object, she's your chef, right?
That's right.
Okay,
That's right.
Cool. Well, listen, there was no challenge this time, so let's get into this extensive, intense dinner service. I mean, it was incredible. It's what Hell's Kitchen, it's the very soul of Hell's Kitchen. So as Gordon would say, Jean-Philippe, open up Hell's Kitchen. Let's go. Susan Heaton,
Yes.
what's it like when Gordon Ramsay calls out a ticket at that lightning speed verbiage?
Oh gosh, you want to just push pause, and just like say slow down, but you just can't. I mean, you just have to hope and pray that you catch something from it and that you have enough courage to go up and look at the ticket, because there's no humanly way possible that you can actually absorb what he says. It's just so fast. So fast.
Gordon, does it have to be that fast? Really? I mean, could you just slow down a mega smidge?
I remember during my season last year, there was a guy who actually asked him to slow down. And so, of course, in the most mocking way possible, he holds the ticket and says, "On order, 1 chicken, 1 filet." I mean, it was just hilarious. And I mean, these guys.
You can tell me who got it, who got the end of that, if you remember.
Yeah, I
if
think it was Barrett or Michael. Yeah, Michael or Barrett, one of the two of them. And they actually thought, "Oh, this is great." And Gordon's, "Are you kidding me? No, This is not how it works."
Wow.
You gotta go. You gotta go.
In this service, go ahead.
I was going to tell you.
Please.
Chef Ramsay told us that the way he actually learned to call out orders, or learned, and when he was working the line, when he was becoming a chef, it was all in French. That they would read out the order in French, and then the ticket would be backwards. So he'd have to actually look and see the writing backwards and try to make it all out. So he's not, he did it the hard way. Mm-hmm. He wants us to do it the hard way. He's not going to give us any easy way out. That's really what it comes down to.
How intense is a Hell's Kitchen service? We hear about, everyone talks about it, but I want to hear your take on it.
I don't know that there's anything thus far in my life that I have experienced that is more intense than one night service in Hell's Kitchen. From everything to the heat and the temperature of, the flames, like literally, to the pressure of having, a room full of people waiting on you and watching you be, getting berated or watching you getting yelled at. So it's really just an intense situation.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you'll notice that she's wearing her black jacket, which means a top 5 finalist. More on that later. So right out of the get-go in this dinner service, Jason has a really, this is an outdated term, but he has a really fresh mouth. You know what I mean? He really brings it to you in a very, calling people, you're a bitch to Anton, hey, and his favorite is you dumbass. So I'm just wondering, how could that be possibly what Gordon's looking for? Do you think Gordon's watching?
Definitely. So, he has eyes everywhere. He sees everything. And I know that's not what he wants. But, I think it's very evident that, the way that Jason and the other, guys on the blue team speak to each other, it shows in how they interact. I mean, they can't get it together. They can't communicate. They can't figure things out. They don't respect each other. And, you're supposed to be a team. You're not going to get to the next week if you're not a team, Yeah.
Anton's a stupid idiot, quote.
Stupid idiot, yes.
From Jason. But that's in the safety and confinement and serenity of the confessional booth.
Yeah.
So how did you use the confessional booth in your game?
Oh gosh, it's it was like a venting session. It was like a therapy session to go into the confessional booth, but you have to always remember in the back of your mind that that's going to, that could possibly, go on air. That's something that someone's going to see. So you got to kind of be real. You should be honest in everything that you do. Mm-hmm. So I tried to be as honest as I could, during my confessional times, but I also used it as a little bit of a time to vent and kind of release some of the stress of the kitchen.
What's it like hearing other competitors tear you down in the confessional?
It's gut-wrenching because in a way you feel like you have formed a bond. I mean, here you are spending literally 24/7 with these people, and you think one thing and then you hear something else, and it cuts you down. It's hard to hear.
I'm about to buy the Raw and Uncensored season 11 on Hell's Kitchen. Did you get emotional? I don't remember in the confessional.
Yeah, I got emotional a few times, just a few select times, and actually the first dinner service, it was just I broke down.
Was that your first introduction into fine dining, on the line, crazy, and Gordon Ramsay? Oh,
I mean, all of those things at once. Like it just vomited all over me, and I had to just figure it out.
You have a way with words, young lady.
Yeah, so it was really intense.
And do they egg you on? Is there a voice that is it like the voice of God, or are they asking you questions, or is it just quiet and you have to just say what you want to say? How does it work?
It's I guess it's much like other reality shows in that you're speaking to a producer, you're talking to someone.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, they're looking at, hey, what happened? Tell me about this, and it just gives you a great opportunity to get everything off your chest. Just
wow.
Let it all out there.
That's where that's the make it or break it, I think, is because however they do it, they have your footage of what you're doing in Hell's Kitchen, and then all of a sudden they have you reacting to it.
Yeah.
Almost in present time. It's really a really amazing way that Arthur Smith and Kent Wade, those guys are great at what they do. So back to this one. Melanie fell on her butt. Poor thing. She's strong. We'll talk about that later. Gordon's dinner intensity. I keep coming back to that. Okay. Did you even care what was going on with the Blue Kitchen? Because tonight someone said, it sounds like they're dying over there.
Yeah.
So when you were in it, what do you remember?
There are times where I felt like, we're in a race, even though there's no, it's not like there's no real terms that if you finish first, that you've won dinner service, because you could finish first and still have lost dinner service because of the performance. Right. But you are kind of trying to keep a little bit of pulse on what's going on over there, and you can hear. Just like if you're, in the actual eating in Hell's Kitchen, you can hear Gordon, yelling at people in the other kitchens. So you kind of have no choice but to pay attention to what's going on over there to a certain degree.
Are you oblivious of the cameras in Hell's Kitchen because they're so perfectly hidden?
Oh, yeah, completely.
So that's not even on your mind at all?
Not even.
There's 75 cameras in Hell's Kitchen.
Wow.
So, I mean,
I didn't even know that number.
Yeah, it's super intense. And that wall where you're cooking is just a bunch of cameras just loaded right on you. So if you think you're whispering something about somebody,
they got it.
They absolutely get it. So there was a huge feud between Anton and Scott tonight. So Scott Cummings, who we're talking about, he's been here for me.
Yeah.
He hasn't been terrible, and he hasn't been amazing. He's just been kind of getting through service to service. So let's talk about his food real quick. That was not up to snuff.
The soggy French fries? I mean, who does that?
Someone who's feeling rushed by Gordon Ramsay, like, get it.
True.
But the way Anton, I think he was pushing the team in a direction that was incapable. I mean, what did you think of his calling out?
Just I felt like, having been there, obviously I know the intensity and the urgency of everything, but he was just rushing things, calling out wrong times or times that, you saw when Ramsay was like, how long for those two New York strips? And he's like, 6 minutes on the chicken. It's like
6 minutes.
The
chicken's got to come first. The chicken's got to come first.
Are you even listening? He has his own agenda, it seems like.
Yeah, if you're going to, like he says, step up and take ownership of the blue team, well, then I think you should do it in a way that doesn't splatter into a disarray of disinformation.
Yeah.
And, it reminds me of this old 70s kind of like a electronic football game. You put all your players on, and then they just kind of go everywhere.
Yeah, I mean,
it's crazy.
There's a difference between, a leader and someone that's helping to guide and someone who's just barking orders and dictating. So, I mean, that doesn't work.
So Scott had I don't know. I thought it was salad dressing at first, but
No, it was the soggy fries and then the salad. Yeah,
was
water.
that couldn't have been dressing?
No, I think it was. I don't know how there'd be so much water in the salad, though.
It's supposed to be like spun dry, is it not?
Yeah.
How does the oil and vinegar supposed to stay on it if it's just watered like that?
It won't.
Oh, it was absolutely awful. So then Keysha, now she was having trouble with garnish as well.
Yeah, garnish is tough.
What's that?
Garnish is tough.
Why is
It's a
that?
tough station. Because you are more often than not preparing something for every other station.
Okay.
So you may have an aspect of apps that you have, on your station. You may have, and then you have, whether it's fish or meat, you have something to do with that. So you have multiple things going on. You're not just doing one thing at a time. So garnish is a hard station.
Can you do like 6 pans going at once?
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, you can,
And-
and you got to make sure that everything's, moving the right way.
I ask everybody in the hot seat. It's not really an open flame, is it?
No, it's I'm blanking on what the term that they call it.
Induction?
And no, it's like
It's heat from
it's heat from below. Yeah,
But
so
the
it's a
BTUs are
French
intense,
range or something. Yeah.
and you can burn something like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Including your finger if you touch it.
Any injuries from Hell's Kitchen, Susan?
I have a couple scars, just a couple burn marks, but that's it. Nothing
didn't-
too crazy.
Yeah, that kind of affected Ralph's performance tonight. He said it was
Yeah.
not sleeping. He wasn't feeling good. What do you think about his trip to the medic?
It's hard because I felt, I'm sure, much like he did, most nights, most days, you're not sleeping. I mean, granted, I didn't have, Gabe next to me sawing logs,
Right.
but, you're tired. And, you have to be mindful of that and hydrate and try to do everything you can to not, get down. And he, unfortunately, he did. And, you get out of your mindset. If you're not in prepping for dinner service and you do have to step out to lay down or whatever, it kind of throws you off your game. It takes you out of your element and everything. So it's hard to bounce back from not being in there during the prep.
What was your most comfortable station? Meat, fish, garnish, appetizers?
I think it's a tie between apps and garnish. I like the fast pace of that. And then, like, for apps, if you get apps off, and that means that you're off to a great start. And generally, that means that you probably won't be nominated because, if then you kind of, you got that over with and you're done. And the rest of the dinner services, you can just help and assist. So I like to be floating and helping and stuff like that. But yeah, I like doing apps. I like doing garnish. I liked it all.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so again, we're talking about the blue team blue.
Yeah. Literally.
I haven't seen that much of a unharmonious, rocky, herky-jerky, I'm not working for you, you're not working with me kind of a scenario. And I think a lot of that, I think Anton got away with one at this one because, I just think that he led his team down that road.
Totally.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more.
And then Jason, you're an idiot, you're a dumbass. Those are fighting words. So okay. The blue team was so bad, Gordon finally said,
Out.
"Get out! Get out!"
You.
No. Wait, let's back it up a second. Gordon called the red team over, help these guys out, and then we get into this male, female, macho thing. The guys had their private parts handed to them.
Totally.
And the girls are coming over under Chef Ramsay's direction, help the men out. And take it from there as a woman. I want to hear what you think, Susan.
That's such a great feeling. Well, I don't know if you remember, if you caught this, but Jason, in the beginning of the episode, said, I can't wait to make those girls cry.
Right.
He wants to see the girls cry. And it's like, come on, dude. You're here to better yourself. Why don't you worry about what you have to do first and then worry about what you can make other people do?
Important words, Jason. I think you should listen to Susan Heaton at this point. Continue, please.
However, I think that it's extremely empowering to see those women get in there, and that's got to be the hardest thing.
Before we get to the success of it, let's talk about the guys and how would you feel if you had a smoking service on the other side of the kitchen, and then Gordon said, "Susan, get in there help out the men, and then you face that roadblock. Take us to that moment. What would you be doing?
I mean, we had an episode like that in season 11 where the guys were just drowning, and we finished and we jumped in there. We, under, of course, Chef Ramsay's advice, go in there, help them out, and they were just not wanting to have any part of it. We can do this. We don't need your help. It's like, well, obviously you do.
Yeah.
So let's just swallow the pride a little bit, accept the help, because at the end of the day, you hear everyone saying, oh, it's all about the customer and getting the food out. Well, is it really?
Right.
Because you are you're proud to ask for or let the women help. If you really care about, the guest eating, you'll just say, hey, you know what? Yeah, let's do this. Let's get this done.
And they were not allowing that to happen.
No.
And I think that was a real test if a man can own up and say, we blue chunks all over the blue side. Let me work with someone who's not saying better than me, but just let me work with them and let's get it going, instead of that resistance of no. It was just such a macho BS kind of a thing.
Yeah. And, unfortunately, I think, being proud or being prideful is very dangerous at times, especially when, there's a bigger picture. So it's unfortunate. Hopefully they can learn from that.
So Gordon saw through that and he said, you, get out. What's that like, hearing those words on the red team?
Well, I mean,
did Gordon ever kick you out?
I did, yeah. I got kicked
did?
out. I think it was the first
Oh my
night.
God, you're legendary,
Yeah.
Susan. You're legendary. Gordon kicked you out of the
Kicked
kitchen.
me out of the kitchen. And it wasn't even my fault.
What happened?
I was on a station with a girl, her name was Danielle, and we were working garnish the first night of service. And I was actually trying to help her, but because of both of our slip-ups, I kind of got caught in the crossfires, I believe.
Get out.
Then I cried.
Did you? Did he make you cry with
Oh,
him?
well, I mean, I cried as soon as I left.
Oh yeah?
I didn't cry in the kitchen. I waited.
What
till
was
in the hallway.
your internal monologue saying?
I didn't deserve it. I felt that I was actually, holding my own and doing the best that I could for having it been the very first time I'd worked, in a situation like that, on a line in a brigade. So, I thought it was unfair, but I'm stronger because of it.
So the gentlemen are asked to leave,
Yes.
and then take it from there. Call it the end of service.
The girls win.
Yeah, right.
Red team wins.
Yeah,
I mean,
they seem to.
they really had a flow. I will say, Gordon hasn't mentioned this yet in the season, but the stations, the kitchen itself was designed to have, 4 to 5 people in it. So the fact that at this stage in the game that the women, all 5 of them, were able to actually work it out and get that flow and that rhythm, that's really key, because that's how those kitchens were designed, to have one person on each station and working, kind of in a round table. Everyone does what they need to do. It all works together. So it's, kudos to them. It's really tough to do that,
And being introduced to the gastropub menu just a few hours before.
Absolutely.
The sliders and the fish and chips. Sorry, Ralph, on the fish and chips. But what's it like having Gordon Ramsay just eat you alive, Susan?
I mean, it's it's like,
Because it's not like bleep,
No.
bleep, bleep. Fucking, excuse me. It's raw. It's raw. You know what I mean? Boom, smashing your food down, guys wearing it away, and you're right in the middle of all that.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing really that can compare to the way that you feel. You feel so little. People say that, like, oh, I just feel like I was an ant, and you feel like you just feel so small and just so, like, you're crushed, because it's like you want to make him proud, you want to make him happy, and you want to do the right thing, and then to know that you disappointed him. I liken it to like a child, disobeying their parent,
Sure.
and that discipline comes down. Oftentimes the child is just so like embarrassed and just they feel horrible, heartbroken.
What's it like when he's cooking right in front of you?
It's like there's an aura, kind of like Twilight, like Robert Pattinson, like this whole glittery around him.
I'm out. Steven, finish the show. That was a horrible reference. Oh. Are you kidding me
I
right now?
have an 11-year-old niece.
Okay, yeah. Oh, the old niece, Steven. Yeah. Whatever. Keep going.
Anyways, it's really it's like watching. I don't know. I mean, anything. The greatest of any sport, anything. It's like seeing that firsthand and just watching it is pretty phenomenal.
He makes it look easy too.
Oh yeah, I mean he makes the most difficult of things that you struggle with. He makes it look like it's picking up the pen. It's like, oh, that's why don't you just do that? It's like, well, easy for you to say.
What was your grossest challenge?
Oh,
like a seafood, like a lobster? Was it squid? Did you have to do any of that?
We only lost one challenge as a team, and we had to eat the century eggs and the balut. Horrible. But yeah, we didn't have to, the guys and their loss had to eat a lot of much worse things than we did, but we got the brunt of it. That one loss that we had. Oh,
one loss. That means
Yeah.
you smoked them all year long. So, what were some of your rewards? Did you go to Vegas?
We were actually started the season in Vegas, so we won the first challenge in Vegas and got to stay while the guys had to drive home on a school bus. And us ladies got to stay in Vegas. We had, the suite at the Caesar's Palace with, an amazing spread of food and pastries and chocolates and drinks, and it was amazing.
Did Caesar actually live there? That's stupid. Because I think Melanie said they got pretty toasted because they didn't have to wake up and go to service or wake up and go to a prep. Did you have any situation where you could actually cut loose on Hell's Kitchen?
Yeah, a couple times. It kind of depended on the day and what was going on with if we had dinner service or not. But one of my most memorable rewards or experiences for reward was it was when we were down to just the four of us girls and then just one guy. Or I forget how the numbering was, but it was just four of us, and we got to eat lunch at Nobu in Malibu. I don't know if you've ever been there.
Yeah, you can't swing a dead cat without seeing Robert Downey Jr. or Tom Hanks, or it's just like Celebrity Central.
Well, we got to go in the daytime, and the entire restaurant was closed off to us, and they just had the sushi chef preparing all these amazing things. It was phenomenal. I mean, literally sitting on the patio and hearing the ocean, just, the waves beat on the shore was just like, is this real life?
Yeah.
I'm not sure it is, because it was amazing.
It's almost like, a merman, like Rob Pattinson would just come out of the water and say, hello, ladies. It's your niece. Yeah. So
totally.
Let's continue on to this horrible, horrible thing. The guys are kicked out, and then they go upstairs, and then they really have at each other, where Jason's like, you know what? You're a dumbass. You're a dumbass. You're a bitch. And I'm telling you, for guys, those are fighting words. I'm like, I don't even care if there were 75, cameras on me and the guy was twice as big as me. You can't really talk to another guy like that. I mean, what would you do if someone's talking to you like that? Girls. Never gets that heated with the girls, right?
No, I mean, fortunately it didn't for me. But, I don't think, first of all, don't condone violence. But it'd be really hard not to at least fire back, and get, you got to get in someone's, you don't, because I feel like if you accept that, you allow that, you're just saying, yes, I am a little bitch if you called me that and I just don't do anything.
There's no pushback from Gabriel, when he's being called a dumbass by Jason. There's no pushback from Anton when Jason's calling him a dumbass. And then that was one of the most intense deliberations I've ever seen, picking up 2 for elimination. So, with that said, what's it like being on the red team when the blue team, someone's going to go?
It's the most gratifying relief, ever. Sitting in the chairs and not standing is the best thing ever.
Why?
Because you're giddy. You just kind of know that you're safe for one more week. It's great. It's a good feeling.
Yeah. Did you ever have to say, were you on the block? Ever?
I was.
Yeah.
I think I had 3 nominations.
Okay, I'm going to anyone. Susan, why do you think you should stay in Hell's Kitchen?
I should stay in Hell's Kitchen because I'm passionate, I'm fighting, I don't give up, I'm learning, and I'm trying, and I want to prove to you that I am an excellent chef.
Nice. Well done. All right, so we get down to it, and the nominees were Ralph and Scott. And then everybody on the blue team had this.
They were Gabe and Scott.
Yeah, Gabriel and Scott, right?
Yeah.
Gabriel and... No, wait a minute. Gabriel was calling them out.
Yeah,
Gabriel's
he
calling him
asked.
out, and he goes,
yeah.
and he goes, Scott and Ralph, and then everybody on the team, on the blue team, kind of like looked around, like, did he
That's
just?
not what we agreed on.
Did he just really say that? And then Gordon says, it's just like dinner service. We don't know what we're doing. And then he goes, Scott, Ralph, Gabriel, get your ass up here. And then they have to fight for their lives. That's a
Yeah.
tough moment. Did you have a moment in one of those Meathook ceremonies where someone got axed and then you immediately got emotional?
I got emotional almost every time. I mean, especially once it came down, like maybe like the first 2 or 3 people that kind of left, you don't have as much connection with, so it wasn't as emotional. But once you've been there a few weeks and you're really connecting, it's emotional. It's, at least for the women, on the red team. I didn't really ever get emotional when any of the guys left, but yeah, several times. It's just really hard, because you feel like everyone deserves to be there.
So Scott said, I have a big heart. I help out. I put myself out there, and I help and I put myself out there. Did you believe him?
I haven't really seen much from him. I mean, sure, he seemed to be helping. I think Gabe said it best when he said that Scott's like a glorified expediter.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not enough to be, a head chef for Gordon Ramsay. You have to be able to really put a little bit more in that than just calling out orders and doing things like that.
And Gabriel says, man, I'm a fighter. I'm stronger every service. I know I'm stronger every challenge, and I'm doing my best. Did you believe him?
I mean, yeah, he has come. I've seen for the first couple episodes, he did have a lot more mistakes, but I don't really think that, I really think any of them could have gone home. He could have sent all 3 of them home, and, they would have been just fine.
All right. Then Ralph is up there. He goes, hey, tonight was a disaster for all of us. My fish and chips, yeah, they didn't work. And then Gordon says, what? Ralph said, there's no communication. He goes, what do you mean? With the fish? And then Ralph snickered.
Yeah.
Wrong time to
Bad,
snicker, right?
bad,
I mean, you
yeah.
have to pick and choose, especially when you're in front of the firing squad of Gordon Ramsay. You can't do that.
Yeah. No, your nerves are obviously, getting to you.
Did you put your foot in your mouth in Hell's Kitchen anytime?
I actually, I got caught for laughing, even though I wasn't really laughing. It's just like, like that nervousness that you get.
Sure.
You're just kinda
Rochelle
like,
has
"Ooh."
that nervousness.
Yeah.
She laughs at a nervous point. So, and then did Gordon catch you?
Yeah, he caught me. Yeah.
Oh, damn.
I know.
Damn.
But then you can't even argue back. Like, it's whatever he says. It's just, you're like, but I went.
Oh, miss, you think it's funny, do you?
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny to you, huh?
No, chef.
I can tell you just her posture goes like straight up, like you remember the guy's
Oh, yeah.
fury. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
All right. So then all of a sudden we're down to 10 chefs. Ralph's got to take the walk.
Yeah.
And he tells Gordon Ramsay, the little pit bull, our guy from Boston Strong Buddy, and he's a really nice guy. Small, but I think he packs a punch. I think I could have still seen him go in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I really didn't see that coming. I mean, he didn't really seem, sure, the guy didn't cook the fish and chips right. Or the one that he did put up was like a soggy diaper or something that, chef said. But I didn't really think that, he's the weakest out of, all of the other guys that are up there. So
exactly. Well, that's that. There's 10 chefs remaining, Susan. So I think at this point, let's see who's left. Let's look into the future, and let's get into predictions and see what's going on.
let's do it.
All right.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Isn't that crazy? All right. Red team. Who's weak, who's strong, in your opinion?
Let's see. I really think Melanie's really strong. I think she doesn't let her emotions really get to her.
Right.
She doesn't like get out of line or get a little, agitated or whatever. I think Joy is also really strong. I just think that she needs to watch her emotions because she kind of gets that. She gets a little heated, a little tense. Yeah. You have to be able to stay calm under pressure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because every single night you're going to war, and you're going to war for General Ramsay.
Yeah.
I like Rochelle though. She's
You know what? Surprising. I think she reminds me of Mary from my season. So if you guys remember,
Mary had that high voice.
she had a very
and she's
high-pitched voice.
She did all that all the time. Yeah.
But at the end, she came out. She was, runner-up for the season. She came back. She fought back. I think Rochelle's kind of laying low. You don't really see anything really, she's not really coming out, but she's not really falling down.
Mm-hmm.
I think Sandra, was quiet this week, but we'll see what happens next week. I think that's very tenuous. I don't think that's really going to be something that is going to maintain.
Sandra's edge is she's packing a shiv.
Yeah.
Just so you know. I heard that from no. I love Keysha.
I do.
I love her
sweet.
personality, and I just some people on a personal level you just kind of pull for them, and I think she would appreciate that $250,000, so we'll have to see. So who's the strongest? Who's the weakest?
Red team strongest? I'm going to stick with Melanie.
Okay.
Weakest, Sandra.
Okay. I am going to say of those, I like Rochelle, representing Riverside, California, about an hour away from us. And then on the weaker side, we just saw Jessica go. I'm going to say Sandra as well, because Sandra, you may be a future guest on this AfterBuzz TV show, and I hope you are, but I don't see the team player coming out right now. Okay, let's talk about guys real quick. Okay, who is a rock star, and who should be wiping down after service?
It's so
You want me to give you some? I'll
No.
give you some of the names.
It's just hard. I don't really see a lot.
The remaining gentlemen are Anton Testino, Jason. We have Gabriel,
Scott and Rich.
Yeah, Scott and Rich.
That's just really hard for me. I guess since I have to pick.
You have to.
I have to pick.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was all about Anton up to now.
Yeah.
Up to tonight, I was like, this guy's, when Wolfgang Puck complimented his food and he needed a minute to take the reward because he needed to go outside to tell his family and himself that, Wolfgang Puck liked my pizza, and tears started coming down. It just resonated on a level. But today, all of that energy was displaced and it was kind of scary,
Yeah.
So he has a definite, he could do a spiral downwards. So, man, who's number one? Richard Mancini. I love him, but he's 48 when he filmed this, 49 now, probably 50 when he takes the job.
Yeah.
I think Gordon has youth. He likes youth.
Yeah.
So
I would agree with you on that one.
So Scott Cummings is like the invisible man in Hell's Kitchen. Are you here? We're cooking. Where's Scott? Gabriel. He's having a problem with chicken. Episode after episode after episode. I mean, how many people? If that chicken went out, so even though he had a really bad night, I'm going to go with Anton Testino still for the guys.
I think talent-wise, that makes the most sense. He has the most.
Susan Heaton, Hell's Kitchen, season 11. AuthenticChef.com. If you want good food anywhere, she's jet set, 5 to 500. You know what? Go to AuthenticChef.com. And where do we find you on Twitter?
Susan HK11.
Susan HK11. Me, Leo Quinones, you can find me on Twitter. It's 2 words on Twitter, @Movie Interview. @Movie Interview. And thank you, Roar USA, for the amazing duds. I wear them all the time. Susan, I'm going to put it to you right now. Will you come back?
I will come back.
You will?
Yeah, and I'll bring food next time.
All right. Well, you know what? Food, and I'll bring the poster of Rob Pattinson. We'll see you next time on the Hell's Kitchen After Show. Thank you, producer Steven. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much for being with us.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.